really delighted to be here with Susan, and I think we go back now, 10 years?
Longer.
Oh no, can't be. don't. In 15 or 20.
Probably about 20.
Oh dear. Anyway, so I've got a short preamble about Susan here I'd like to read out. She is courageous, humorous and risky. Got to watch her. These are just some of the words that come to my mind when describing Susan's boundary-defying practice as a contemporary artist. Her studio, which I've been to, I reckon 5 years ago, is a cathedral of material, filled with carefully sourced objects, colours, textures, and you want to touch everything that you see with your eyes, and the layering that takes shape in that space. And all this material would have been discarded otherwise, I would say, whether it's deliberately sourced or found material. She reconstructs these materials responding to their energy embodied within that material and the presence of that material, to reveal untold and unseen narratives of our shared past histories that continue to inform our present lives. Susan's work is about absence, uncertainty, and the darker sides of our existence. Sometimes we don't necessarily want to go there, but it is really good to go there. You know, love is grief, grief is love, loss is part of giving and taking, and all those things that emotional, that we all feel the way that we live upon this earth. So through Susan's art, she really ignites the voices and memories of the past. She transforms them into collective histories that overlap, converge, and create new meaning. She awakens silences, inviting us to have this dialogue around difficult and often unspoken narratives. Susan's practice lends agency to her subjects and the narratives they embody. It is an active and shared experience, one that challenges us, viewers, collectors, and the wider public to confront those uncomfortable truths and ask those difficult questions. Susan's work is not only a personal reckoning, but a public offering, a space where silenced histories and current truths can be acknowledged and spoken about in spaces like this. So here we are this evening, amidst and engrossed by her new series, 2 Girls and a Bomb. Wow. So when I first walked in here, what struck me the most was Susan's absolute change and elevation in her painting technique, in her palette. So there's bold, vivid colours, they're like strident, they're marching towards us. The flatness of the surface is particularly compelling. I'm going to ask Susan questions, and if she goes over too long, I'm going to ask the next question, because Susan is a good talker, you know. Yeah, we love that about Susan. Okay, Susan, your work has become more visible in the public eye. Maybe over the last decade, 10 years? What would be the contributing factors of this wider exposure? As your work is not commercially viable and does not really conform to market trends. So why do you think you've become more accessible or more on the public realm?
I think I don't follow trends, and I wouldn't know fashion doesn't interest me. And I always think, why does everyone want to wear the same dress that's in a shop when it actually probably doesn't particularly suit you? Why don't you work out what does suit you and be yourself? So I sort of think as human beings, we tend to like to fit in, we tend to want to be popular, and I think we lose a sense of who we are. And I think it's really important as humans to look back, and I think it's got a lot to do with your family, your mother and your father and how you're brought up. And I think to find out who you are, where you come from, and be happy with who you are. And that, I think, is what, and I think that's what I try to find in my work. I try to work out who I am, because I think most artists make work about who they are and the experiences that they've had. Because it doesn't come from, it has to come from you. It doesn't come, unless you do want to do more commercial work. And I'm not in, I can't do that. I feel if I'm trying to paint, to sell a painting, it makes me feel really insincere. I can't stand next to something that I don't feel like is genuine from what I believe. And I think look, I think art's the long game. You know, I think you want to be a long distance runner. Don't be a sprinter, because for a start you lose your breath. And long distance you can actually get more oxygen. I'm interested in doing the long running, not the long, up the, you know, the 15, what's that one? 15. I'm interested in doing the long distance swimming pool than the 50 metres, even though it's probably easier. And that's hard too.
Well, it sort of brings me to you know, your biography, you talked about your work is sort of autobiographical, and that comes out maybe in this exhibition through, like, as some of these people, you know, are they self-portraits in a sense?
Well, I think I look at these works and I think they're sort of self-portraits of everybody. I sort of think we're all human, and I think especially today when we're looking at screens all the time, and I think we're all trying to fit into this box of being perfect. People are afraid to fail. I always think failing is the best lesson. If you know, people always want to succeed. I think you learn more when you fail than you with them. I mean, you don't want to keep failing. But I do think that a few knockbacks can make you stronger and determined. And you know, look, I'm the sort of person, I wake up every day and all I want to do is just go downstairs and make art. You know, it's not, for me, it's not a decision, it's something I have to do. It's just something that compels me. I'm actually very dyslexic, and I think I failed all the way through school. And I went to 9 schools because my father was in the army. And every school I went to, I was always at the bottom of the class. And so I just think I've learned a way to, you know, I've never been to art school. I've taught myself to make art. And the way I want to do it. And I think it's more like a survival thing for me to get up and have something to do. And I think doing is really important. I mean, we can think about everything all the time, but it's when you actually practically do something that you get your agency. Doing is really important, I think. And then you get things done. If that's, it's very simplistic.
And then you can have a lie down.
And then you don't have like, but I think women are really good at getting stuff done, actually.
So, you know, you've developed this visual language that hasn't been shaped by institutional frameworks, but more intuitive, about seeking and doing.
Yeah.
And you said once you were glad you didn't go to art school and, I quote, learn everything in a box. And I would suggest that is why your visual language is so unique. Are you still glad you didn't go to art school?
Well, look, the thing is, art school's probably glad I didn't go to it, because they wouldn't have, I'm not Look, I'm not a particularly good drawer, and I don't read. I find it very hard to absorb information. So I tend to listen. I tend to be very much a listener and a watcher. They would not have accepted me, Rhonda. Even if I tried to go to art school, I wouldn't have.
Even back in the 1990s?
No, if I tried to go into, would they, Peter?
What's that?
Art school wouldn't have accepted me.
No, why would they?
They wouldn't have, because you've got to be a good drawer. You sit there and you've got to do my perspective. That's why everything's so flat, because I don't have great perspective.
Okay, so that brings me to, I can really see aspects of David Hockney in your work, and especially in this current exhibition. You know, striking colour and tone of your portraits really captured within these sort of psychological spaces, I would refer to them as. Has Hockney been an influence, and which sort of artists have you followed over the past sort of
It's funny,
decade or more?
when I was in London a few years ago, I went to a David Hockney exhibition, and I walked around, and what I really liked about him was he was prepared to change.
Yeah.
Because most artists, I think, they get their thing and they think, it's a bit like musicians. I know my thing, I just keep doing the same song over and over. I do, you know what I mean? I think it's really important. I think it's really important, the capacity to change and move forward and look around you and see what's going on. And I like to change, and that's what drew me to not to him, but other more of the artists that sort of on the outside of things. Not so much, I mean, he's on the inside of things, but he was gay and he, struggled. I really like Andy Warhol, and a lot of artists, I say to people, I like Andy Warhol. I'm thinking, how can you like Andy Warhol? He's such a terrible artist. Andy Warhol changed the way people looked at America. He changed how people looked at supermarkets. He changed how people looked at photography. I mean, he was actually, he got a lot of kickbacks when he was around. And I think, I looked at his stuff and I think he was a one-off. He was, you want to be out of the pack, not in the pack. I'm not saying I'm out of the pack, I'm just saying I like these people that do take risks and they're not worried about, someone doesn't like it. Well, how do you know people like it? Who cares? Seriously, I don't know what people like. People like when it comes out, people have actually come up to me in the past, I don't like that. I think, well, good on you. It doesn't matter. I mean, I just go and keep going. And,
Yeah, you've got to keep going.
Don't you?
Yep, definitely. Keep moving along. So, Susan, do you need a solitary space to think and expand upon your ideas? As though, your work is very multi-layered and quite complex. So does it take, a long time? Like, what was the gestation period for this series?
Probably about 3 to 4 years. Because I've worked on the sculptures, and then I'm always, I did a whole series of small paintings, and then I thought I wanted them to work with the sculptures. I started to change things. I'm really quite prepared to completely change things and start. I'm not precious about saving something. I think if that's not working, it doesn't work. So I don't look at art as people say, oh, I'm trying to do a masterpiece. I think, what the hell's that? What's a masterpiece? I mean, what's that? Someone else says that's a masterpiece. I'm not going to think, is it?
Is that old Leonardo over there a masterpiece?
But what I'm saying is you're never going to move on if you're trying to paint them. Just do your work. Don't worry about. And all these were on I put these on stretchers. At the end, I painted straight on the canvas. Because I find if I put them in a stretcher, they become like this precious thing.
Oh, so you paint these
They're
unstretched?
Unstretched. All of these are unstretched.
That's really quite interesting. Because that's a different feel, isn't it, to when it's stretched?
Well,
because you've got tension on the canvas so
Peter and I stretch them.
yeah.
He gets them straight. And then we just stretch them another.
Yeah.
But I think if I don't do them on stretcher wood,
Yeah.
I'm not precious about it. It's not like, I've spent $600 getting the wood, and what if it doesn't turn out? And then if it's just flat on the wall, and then you can really get into the paint, you know, it's on the wall, it's a hard surface.
Okay, you've still got the hard surface on the
I
wall.
really like the,
Okay,
in fact
yeah.
all of these, most of these, even the small ones, were just canvas, and then I stretched them onto the ones that I like, you know, you go to think, oh, I don't like that now, that's rubbish, or, you know, that's not so great.
Yeah.
So I just, you can pick what you want, and look, I you know, we have canvas, we walk over all our stuff. Someone said, why do you walk over the paintings? Because it doesn't even matter. You know, you just fix it up and put on a structure and repaint stuff.
What's a footprint?
Peter's
here and
always
there?
saying, why are you so careless? I say, oh, look, don't worry, and I've changed the colour, it looks better. I mean, you don't want to be precious about stuff. Nothing is that important. When you look on what's going around the world, especially at the moment, worrying about the colour of a painting is really not something that I like it to look good, and I like it to work, but I don't fuss about it.
Does like your surrounding environment, the impact or influence the context of your production in, you know, have a say in what you do as an artist?
I do like I think artists build up a space which makes them feel comfortable, and I think that space, when you go into that space, you feel like you can do anything and no one's watching, so you can embarrass yourself or do something that looks corny, or you know, I always think that looks corny. I always say to Peter, because my husband's an artist, and I always say, is that corny? He says, yeah, it is a bit corny.
Oh, you say it's pretty good, actually. It's the other way around.
I say, change your style, it's great.
So is it helpful to have a partner?
It
as
is
an
very
artist
helpful to have
for
someone
you
who's have another eyes to say,
Yeah.
it's okay, you can do that.
Yes.
You know, it is. I think it's probably not like having a partner who reads if you're writing a book, and then they can read it and they say, oh, I don't believe that chapter. You know, it doesn't ring. You're doing it for the sake of it, not for the right reason of why you're doing it. And I think that's really important to have. And that's why a good curator is really important, I think, because they will say, no, I don't think that works, or that works, or not always, but I think it's good to have other people say, well, that might not fit, or. And the other thing that I really like is when people look at paintings and they see other things that I have never seen, and I think, gee, that's so good that you see that, because I never thought of it. So everyone looks at everything through a different lens, how it relates to you, what you feel about something. And I think there's a lot of conceptual art out in the world, and you go and look at it and you don't feel anything, because it's just about this. And I think that's a very modern way of art making. It's just, and I think if you don't get an emotive response, that's like everything. It's like going and watching an AI film. It's really clever, but you go out, do you feel anything? Does it make you angry? Do you think, where are the real people? You know, that's just my opinion. A lot of other people might, I don't know. This is just, you know, what I think about.
So, Two Girls and a Bomb, you did like this whole new series for me. It creates this sense of theatre. The drama within the space, their characters being played out before our very eyes. You know, I can see, just glancing at this painting behind us, as if they're caught mid-scene, as if paused in a play where the script is constantly rewritten by algorithms and online personas. There's a tension between their vivid presence and emotional absence. You know, this idea of presence and absence recurs in your practice. A kind of detachment that mirrors how we often engage with each other now.
Yeah.
Visually, but not intimately.
Yeah.
Were you thinking about this aspect in the creation of these works, as there seems to be an underlying sense of detachment and distance?
Yes. Well, you know, we live in our homes, and is the TV listening to us? you've got your phone and suddenly Sue starts talking to you, you say something and how can I help you? And I'm thinking, we are not alone. We everywhere we go we're being photographed, we're being surveilled, we're being watched. And I think we forget that. I think we just say things and we should have privacy. I think a lot of social media, I do a bit of social media. I'm not great with social media because I really like to keep my privacy. Because I think people are quite readily happy to give away their privacy, their intimate things. And I just think that is so precious. And you can't get that back. And I think it's a bit like these paintings here, which are TV bots. You come home and you don't have a partner and you're talking to the TV and this is your new partner, you're having a relationship with someone on a screen. The world's becoming so cold and lonely.
It's really interesting because there's a crisis of loneliness happening in the world, and it's not just older people, it's quite young people, as we know from what's being told by the media. And there's this, you can make friends with a bot, and you can have these sort of relationships with it's online dating, it's everywhere that we're just sort of immersed in this new digital sort of spaces, which are quite riveting in some regards, but coming too far in, you can lose a sense of your own identity, I guess. So is that sort of what you were looking at too? Like there's a recurring bot lady. Is she? Can we trust her?
Well, no, because she's just algorithms. You see, she doesn't. She's this woman. If she is a bot, I'm not sure if she's connected to her head or not yet. I can't work that out. But she's got cold eyes. You can't trust any because they haven't had a lived experience. You see, the reason we are human is because we know what it's like to fail, succeed. We know what it's like to fall in love. We know what it's like if your partner leaves you. You know what it's like if you're a child, if you have a baby and there's a cop death. We are just really emotions walking around the planet. And often a silly brain which doesn't recognise that. And that's why we do such stupid things. But if you have empathy and you feel everything, you will have feelings for your partner if they come home and they're unhappy. You will understand it, or if you've got children that are upset, you have love for those children. These algorithms that people are now, what do I do with my child when my child's done something wrong? I mean, they wouldn't have a clue because they don't give birth, they don't feel loss, they don't feel hate, they just, I look at our world and I just think, are we insane? Have we gone crazy to let our world be taken over by algorithms that have had no experience at all? No life, no hope. What is life without hope? It's but it's just what I feel. We're living in a terrible. The planet at the moment, I think, is really. I don't know. It's worrying. But I don't want to be worried. I don't want people to think this is really all depressing.
No,
because humans also are very capable of changing, and because most of the people are good. You've just got the few baddies.
See, there's a sense in every painting here that there is hope for the future. Like the colours are so bright and beautiful and vivid, and you get this sense of uplifting and elevation. So is that the other side?
Look, I love colour.
Yeah.
And regarding this subject, if I did all these paintings black and grey and really morbid, it's too obvious. These are all dark and deep, but because there is colour, people are drawn to them. They walk up and they think, what is this about? They question what's going on. If you're too obvious about what you're doing, people, I had people shooting each other and and I don't want to do, it's not me, I don't want to do that. It doesn't interest me to be, I want to be positive and uplifting and look at the bright side. Maybe I should have called it the bright side.
Susan, this painting behind us here is just miraculous. It's really, and so what you've done here, you've got a flatness, but at the same time you've got that pictorial illusion of space. So, you often work in 3D material. We'll get to the sculptures shortly. But for me, that vibrates with movement and sound.
Yeah.
I can feel the movement there. Do you want to talk about that one in particular?
Well, this particular painting, it's called The Huntsman because of the spider on the back. And so I look at this painting as, it's not particularly positive really. Because I don't know if this person really wants to be in this situation. Being married, not married, but sort of being married and pregnant. So, and I've got the little girl's shoes at the back, it's almost like I want to escape. It's sort of like it's, I hope I've not said it, but it's, and also, the term painting the kiss. Mm-hmm. And I started, with the kiss, and then I thought, I don't want to do that, that's someone else's. So I thought I'd do it with a kiss with a spider on the back. And I'll tell you the reason I put the spider on the back, Rhonda, because
I really like the spider.
The spider's good, but we have a lot of spiders in our house, and I always got a jar and go and get it. I don't like to kill anything, and so I got the spider in a jar, and I put it up, and I threw out the window, and it jumped back at me. I threw it out, suddenly the spider, and I jumped, and I flicked it off. And that's why I thought and that's why I put a spider on her back, because it adds that layer of sort of like uncertainty, and life is so uncertain. You just don't know what's going to happen. So I'm glad you like it.
Oh, yes. So, we've described your practice as multidisciplinary. You use a range of materials and you've done 3D in the past. How do you augment that sense of time and space that appears to be intrinsic to your work, space, time, where I always feel like I'm looking backwards and inwards and also forwards at the same time when I always view your work, because it contains multiple lineages, this past, present and future. It's like looking that all at once. Is like this space and time very important to you?
I think time is our most important resource as a human. I think we always have time. I've always been conscious of time for some reason. I don't know why. I just think time is our most precious resource, and what you do with your time is really important to focus on something and try not to be distracted. And if you want to do something, do it. Like I always think, if you want to do something, just go out and do it. And don't have, my father, 93, just passed away a month ago. And he said at the end, he said, I have regrets, I should have seen more of you. He married some awful woman. He said, I should have seen more of you, and I should have looked after my brother Michael, who's now living in Western Australia. And I thought, I don't want to have that, I had the nicest father in the world, and he, 2 days, 3 days, I have regrets, I should have done this, this, and this. And I thought, everyone has regrets, But for him to say that at 93, it made me feel really sad, So if you're conscious of these things, I don't know, I've always been very aware that time moves on very, very quickly. And not to waste it. I had a mother that used to say, don't waste your time, do something. And I think she got it in our heads. She's still on my shoulder, go and do something. I think I am. I am. You know, I think it's sort of, you know,
I haven't stopped for the past.
no, I'm still, and I want to do more. I find the less time I have, there's more I want to do, and so I really do. I get very impatient to do.
And look, this work in particular looks beautiful in this space. You know, the concrete floor, the white walls. It's got this spatial, you know, elevation, or it's more expansive.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this type of museum or gallery space, is that important
I
to
like.
showing
I
your
think
work?
it's very important where the work is seen.
Yeah. Okay.
Very important, I think. Because that is like a home for a painting, you know, for while it's there. And you want it to be seen in the best light that it can be seen in. You know, I just think that's, and why not have a nice space? You may as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think, yeah, I think, and they're all the same height, you know, they all sit well, and not that was particularly, oh no, I do like doing big pictures.
And this size, is this a new, like you've done
I have done
large,
big pictures. Look,
mediums?
you know, before I did this series, which is also what gave me the idea to do these big women, is because I painted the 25 women that were hanged from the white women that came over from colonisation. They were hanged, and most of these women that were hanged from 1789 to the last one, GD 1950, were innocent of their crimes. And it was because they had male juries that didn't listen, and they just said, oh, she's guilty. So before I did this, I spent 2 years painting these big pictures of women. You don't know they're being hanged, you just have them standing with their families. They're nice family portraits, actually. And in these paintings, most of the people are dead. Because she might have killed her children, because she might have poisoned her husband, which she probably deserved. Because they were pretty cruel, pretty brutal back then. No one deserves that. I'm being facetious when I say that. But no, I did 20 paintings this size with texture and why they were hanged. And so I just like to make work that helps me become a better artist. That's all I care about. Really.
And you seem to do a lot of research.
Yes. I think
what sort of research do you do, Susan?
For this.
For this and the
Well,
others.
for this, you know, I started the bomb. The bomb's a big deal. I realised that it's 80 years since they first dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And then, and 80 years on, I'm looking at now they're starting to ramp up all their nuclear weapons, and I'm thinking, didn't we learn the first time round? You know, they're putting all these huge amounts of money into dropping bombs on each other. Why don't you just put into education or health? You know, why don't you look after what do I need to, you can't say anything about it. Educate the kids, make sure everyone's looked after, drop the prices of food so people can eat decent food, get rid of, you know, like I shouldn't go on, Rhonda.
No,
Yes,
that's
you
good.
This is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Tell me what the bomb is a metaphor for in that painting.
Well, that painting there, which is where don't drop the bomb.
Don't drop the
These
bomb.
women are carrying this like this one here. This woman's got her hand not on her body, but on it. Don't drop it. Keep it. Don't drop it. You know. And this one here beside the sponge cake. And there's pencils and a little doll because they drop it on children and women.
And see, you've put that in the domestic space, which is really interesting. Like all these big decisions are universal, global, and I love the way that you've put the bomb in this realm of the women's space.
Because
really.
the domestic space is also the most dangerous for women. You can go home and it's a really safe place, and suddenly if you look at the statistics. So the domestic space is okay until it's not. And women spend a lot of money having beautiful houses, and then they've got this husband who might have coercive control. Look, I had a mother who had a father who abused, and she ended up committing suicide, and I had a mother who I witnessed suddenly change. She would change it, and I thought there's something wrong with Mum. And it wasn't until later that I realised what had happened to her. And a lot of my work, I think, is from being a child, growing up with a mother who would suddenly switch birthing up because she was triggered. She was the best mother in the world. She was amazing, my mother. But I think all the trauma that she experienced as a child, she just couldn't get out of her head. And I think really that's what a lot of my work is about. If you look deep down and you work out, and maybe they're just sort of, this is for you, Mum, this is for you, that you are good, you are okay. I mean, she's very clever and did very well. But
Yeah,
was
we've
never,
spoken about that
never
quite
happy. She never had joy, you know. And there's nothing like having joy or feeling happy about something, you know. It's a
So in a sense, is your practice also a healing mechanism?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. I mean, she was a very good sewer. And she was very good at making things. And I learned all these sculptures I've learned from her fixing furniture or building things, or she was very creative herself. And I just by watching her, I've learned how to just do all this stuff myself. You know, sort of. I just put it together. And my sisters are pretty good at all that stuff too. We also, you know, just from I think your family, the family that you got is very important, and I think it really does mould. Like they say, a child that you can see why families are the way they are. The first few years of life, I think, are very important.
It's amazing, like we're sitting here talking about this sort of stuff. It's quite intimate, and you know, you're very open about all that, and you know, it's very, very good for us to be speaking like this so openly, and you know, it's, I think you're amazing.
Because I think that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, why would I? Like, I always think, just, you know, just speak the truth. There's nothing wrong with the truth. Most people are always worried. I said, say whatever you think. I don't care what you say. I mean, as long as you. The truth is your friend. It will help you. It will really help you. Speak out. If you don't like, say, I don't like that. You know, I don't like the way you chopped up the carrots, or that's a family. Why did you chop the carrots up like that?
Leave religion, please.
Well, that's right.
To me, the sculptures stand like sentient beings, really. You know, they're looking out, they're standing guard, but spatially distant from us, the viewer, like guardians of a space that's both sacred and fractured. Is it a spatial metaphor for the emotional and psychological distance we often feel now in contemporary life?
Well, they are sort of a bit threatening if you had them in your house. I'm all stored downstairs. But I actually think they're quite beautiful too, Rhonda.
They are beautiful.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I like
They
to.
stand so tall and proud.
Yeah, and I've got ones that are much taller. I didn't think I'd be that indulgent and drag a whole lot of extra things in, but I love doing those because they're like families. You know, they're like
Very totemic.
yeah, it's like these little ones over here. They're like a family of 3.
Yeah.
That's a family of 7. No, 1, 2, 3, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could have done 6 like my family, but I thought no. I just like doing them. Once I do them, I think I don't know that I'll do another one and do another one. And look, to tell you the truth, I just like doing them. It gives
Fair
me
enough.
Yeah, really, it gives me something to do. Yes. And I wake up in the night, you often have your best ideas when it's quiet. You really do, and I think I must write that down because I won't remember it in the morning. If I'm too tired and I don't write, I'm so cross the next day, so I often will get up and write it down, and then I think, that's quiet. And then often I think, that was a terrible thing, why would I do that? So nothing's fixed. Everything's always moving, you know. Everything just moves on, and so I just think you do what you do and hope for the best.
Wow. And Are there any questions or comments people would like to?
Why is that lady looking at me like that?
This
The one on the right, she's got such a, I don't know, either wounded or judgmental glance or something like that.
Well, she's sort of, I didn't want to give them much emotion.
Yeah.
So they're very, I don't know, I didn't give them irises, any of these. women.
Why is the hand of the other one?
Because this hand here is to say, don't drop it, hold it.
Oh, so she's taken her hand off and she's put it
Yeah,
on
well,
to prevent
the
it.
thing about all of these works is, like, some of the women don't have their hands, and it's like, it's you know, often as humans you feel a bit fractured. You don't actually always feel like you're together. You know, like your head can be somewhere else, and you're. You know, I think.
I like the way you do
Well, I think. You know, you say one thing and then do another. You think, why don't I do that one? So it's, you know, we're all very complex.
it. And I see in that one the businessman with his hand like he's really owns her now. You know,
Yes.
you're mine now.
Yes, that's right.
Got my
Ownership,
baby.
and it's very much is a bit like that until it's not. Until they find them down the road and up fat. Let's talk about that.
And the red shoes.
Yes, look, Julie Bishop wore red shoes when she was about to do something, and I thought, why did you do that?
Mhm.
Why did you wear those red shoes? Because you're playing the game. And I can't remember what it was for, but I remember thinking,
Wasn't
why are you
it
talking
about
around on red
leadership?
shoes?
Wasn't
But you know
Wasn't it that
what?
she was potentially running for leadership or in the running when it was up to, you know,
Maybe,
between-
but I don't think red shoes help me like that with high heel stilettos. I just think you don't have to play the game. I mean, you're very good at working on this yourself, being such a fabulous cartoonist. But maybe I've got that wrong. I don't know. But I just think
it's
tottering around on
it's very coded, yeah.
tottering around on red shoes often. Look,
But you
I
make them
never-
look so attractive, Susan.
but I
That's
love.
the
The
problem.
other thing is,
I would like to step into those red shoes.
well, I
So
actually,
make
for
my
that
feet
painting, I have got some red shoes at home which I use because if I'm going to do it, I say, put them on, say, Peter, take a photograph of my feet. Because otherwise I can't paint because I can't see it.
Yes.
And I put these red shoes on I went over my heel. Because I never wear them. I put the stupid shoes. I put these stupid shoes on. So, no, I don't, my mother used to say, don't wear high heel shoes so you can run if you need to.
She's right.
She said, look, she had the best advice. You want to be able to get away, if you want to run, you want to be able to run. So,
Okay, let's go.
we didn't really have high heel shoes. I've never worn high heel shoes really. Maybe it was silly or something, I don't know, like I'm trying too hard.
But then they end up being, in the painting, they end up being a sort of a
Well, they're also and they're a symbol for
type
something.
Yeah, they're a symbol for
And,
you know, particular
Court situation.
yes, and another, I love painting. That's another example. I love the effect that I get from, and it's also an awkward situation, you never feel comfortable, they don't quite fit. And that's why you go to the op shop and you see all these very expensive high heel shoes, and the woman's bought them, probably worn them once and got them break my leg.
Oh, I feel so seen.
So there's all these like double messages in everything, like it's not as black and white, or you can read anything you like into anything really. It's like seeing a movie, everyone has a different take on it. Because we all see the world through a different lens.
So this exhibition, from my perspective, you've gone up quite a peg, in your practice. Do you feel like really happy, satisfied with this?
I'm
and how
very
long
happy with these.
did it take you to do this series?
Well, I've been working on this probably for about 3 years. These paintings and the sculptures take a long time. And I started that I paint over them. I think these colours aren't work. I do paint over a lot of things to change colours if I don't think they're. I always, I know if I look at something, I think, oh, that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't believe it. You know, if I don't believe it, I think it just get rid of it. It just, if I feel like it's insincere, or for me, it might not be, or if it's fake, I just get a feeling that this isn't right. It's an instinct. You know, I think instinct is really, go by your instinct with everything. It doesn't lie. Instinct, your instinct is true to you, I think. Other people might think differently. No, I don't know. I just.
Do they start small? Like, do you draw them as?
I do little quick sketches, and I think, oh, that's not really sketches, but because it's looser. But no, I do sketches. And I like long legs and long arms and long fingers because they're not real. It's like a fantasy, you know. Oh, why aren't my fingers longer? Why don't I have longer legs? Why is my hair better? Why don't I
Look like Barbie.
go and look like Barbie? And they are a bit sort of perfect. But then they're imperfect too, whatever perfect is.
Yes.
Hi, these are awesome. When I saw that it was Hiroshima, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of that is a quote that someone told who came to the aftermath of it a couple of days after, I think, and saw everything. And they said it was a graveyard turned upside down. And literally every single day for 2 years, whenever I've seen footage from Palestine, it's a graveyard turned upside down. So in terms of that, and you know, AI dystopia, and the US going alarmingly towards fascism and violent anti-trans legislation in the UK, like, what kind of advice would you give to a creative person my age, which is 30, to, like, how do we let our art respond to this kind of stuff, like how you did with the bomb or with the algorithms, like, without, like, losing your effing mind because it's so terrible? Like, how, like, is there a way you find that you can respond to these much darker things but still do the thing every day, like you've been saying, like, get up and do the thing?
I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very difficult question to answer. You're smarter than I am. I think. You see, I think your imagination is the most important thing we have. You know, I mean, it's really great to be great at math. You know, logic from, you know, Einstein has this wonderful quote: logic takes you from A to B, but your imagination can take you anywhere. And so you can imagine things and you can do anything. There's no rules. The thing is, with art, you can put the rules on yourself. And I think if you're prepared to have criticism, or perhaps not have people understand what you do, that's okay, you know. Like, everything you do leads on to something else. I mean, when I started, I was doing big abstract paintings. And I did those for about 6 years, and there was nowhere to go with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, and I did quite well commercially with abstract paintings, but it just, I don't know, I just felt that I painted myself, there was no content. And I really like to have content, because then the stories can get bigger. You've got something to say, you know. And you know, Philip Guston, the American artist, who had a lot of trouble at the end of this because he did abstract and then went over and because he was a very, very good drawer, did fantastic cartoons. And in 1967, when he'd had a very successful career being an abstract artist with Pollock and de Kooning and all his mates, he struck out and he said, and it was in 67 or 66 when the Vietnam War started, and he said, he went into his studio and he said, what's the point of painting, working out whether red or a blue or a yellow should be on a painting? He said, you know, the world's at war, and here I am as an artist with no content. I've got to start speaking out about what's going on in the world. And he also had this wonderful quote that artists have to be prepared to change. And if you're not prepared to change, you're still stuck, when I was doing abstract art, stuck back then. And, 20 years have gone since then. And look, with all the political things that are going on, all the wars, it's really important, I think, to be present in the time that you're in. Because and a lot of my work, I do look back. I've just done the women from the colonisation that were hanged, but that relates to what's happening in the jury system today. The way that, women, back then were just 12 men in the jury for years and years and years. From about 1966, they had no women on juries around Australia, or even in Queensland it was till 1992. So women, was 12 men in the jury, understanding nothing about women. Rape cases today, oh no, she didn't get raped. I think it's important if you can relate, like what you're talking about. Your art is relevant to what is happening now. I think that's really important. And if you, in any format, whether it's film or video or music, or it's just, that's how I see it.
Yes, I agree. I think good art reflects our times and it gives us some sort of answers. It can help us understand, make us grow in a sense, to reach out to those areas that are very difficult to comprehend. And we are in the midst of those very turbulent times. We're at a distance. We're viewing it, through the media streams, and it's very much a distance thing. But everyone is taking it into heart, and we all feel quite sorrowful at the moment. Yeah.
And helpless. Because
Yes.
there's nothing that there's
art like yours does not make us helpless. That's my thing, that you're reclaiming events that are happening and making sense of them, that we can look at this work and feel like there is something there, the future. You always look into the future, and you want the best for humanity and the planet, as we all do. It's very important that we live in harmony with the planet. And your art is doing it. It's political, it's social, it's all those wonderful things wrapped up together that we can come in and take it in. And
the metaphor my brain's now giving me is like paint as though it's a protest sign. Maybe like anti-war protest sign, hold the bomb, don't let it drop on the doll or the children. I don't know. I see things in metaphors. Sorry, ignore me.
no, it's excellent.
That's good. That's
Really good. Well, I think we should wrap it up on that note. And you're amazing, Susan.